Hi everyone, welcome to our latest webinar, The Search for E-commerce Success, how site search is revolutionising the online retail experience. So hopefully we're going to give you a lot of information how this is going to be hopefully a viable part of your business in e-commerce in the future. So I'll do the introductions myself. I'm James Lees, Head of Client Services here at Salesfire. So it's my department at Salesfire that manage clients' expectations, campaigns, and support them through their Salesfire experience. And one of the parts and facets of that being site search. I'll introduce you to my colleague, Josh McGregor, Head of Marketing at Salesfire. Hello, Josh.
Good morning, James. How are we doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm very good.
Good stuff, good stuff. So we'll get cracking with this, and I'm going to hand you over to Josh now, who's going to go through this slide and introduce ourselves a little bit more to you.
Hello, everyone. So hopefully, guys who are coming on here probably know a little bit about us, but for those who haven't been within our sort of orbit before, I'll give you a bit of a rundown. So Salesfire as a platform is born out of years and years of experience working within e-commerce, more specifically e-commerce platforming. So we're a team here of about, I think we're about 40 at the minute, is that right? 50 now, wow. And we've got a lot of agency experience when it comes to platforming, again, specifically e-commerce. So what we're trying to do is we're putting everything we have in at the minute in revolutionising the way people are shopping. But more importantly to us and specifically our clients, how people are inspired to shop online and how they're inspired to make those purchases. So alongside that, we also want to create something that makes a bit of a space in a website stack that's really smooth to integrate. It's really easy to use and really addresses sort of those CRO gaps and quick fixes. So we're, right now, with focus being on search, what we're trying to do is build some really strong next-gen search capabilities. It was founded on super fast results at first, but we've recently moved into image compatibility and product recommendation campaigns. And we have a current portfolio of over 600 clients at the minute. And that's millions of transactions every month, so we're generating extra for our clients. So I think we're doing pretty well so far.
Doing all right.
Doing all right, yeah.
Smash it. Right, okay, so we'll get cracking with the content while we're here now. So Josh, quick question here to start things off. Why does site search matter?
So you've got to think, it's no surprise to anyone at the minute that Google as a term, as a verb, is being interchangeably used with search every single day. And it has been like that for years now. So if you just, how many times have you been told to Google something, or have you told your son or someone like that, just go and Google it. If you want to learn how to do it, go and Google it.
It's what you say, isn't it? You don't say go search on Bing for that.
No, you certainly don't. And as that landscape starts shifting towards e-commerce, specifically the retail landscape, in a really drastic way at the minute, we're starting to see continuously growing product catalogs, hundreds of SKUs getting added to some of these fashion sites at the minute every day, specifically the fast fashion sites. And not every user has the patience to sift through pages and pages of products and categories to look for what they're looking for. You don't want your shoppers fumbling around your site trying to find a specific product. They want to know instantly whether you have it and if they should bother hanging around your site to try and find it if not.
So next slide we've got here in regards to search influence sales in 2020. Now, these stats here are taken from Trendesk. Now, Trendesk is our online platform for all things stat-based when it comes to e-commerce. This is taken from client data. So we don't tell you specifically what client's data is from, but it just gives you an insight in regards to sectors, what parts of sites are really getting conversion rates in particular sectors and things like that. For more information, to get this data for free, please do visit salesfire.co.uk/trend-desk. Also, listen to the podcast because I'm the host for that as well. It's pretty cool. So, what we did see in 2020 in particular, Josh, site search was growing on what you would say is quite an upward curve. But then between September and November in particular, it was like bang, massive, huge spike there. Now, we will say a big reason for this was people looking for gift inspiration, Christmas shoppers, things like that.
Yeah.
Also, during that time as well, particularly in November, you've got to remember retail was shut as well, so there was another UK lockdown during November, so that's probably why I do see a massive spike there. But why do you think site search in particular has seen that growth?
Well, I think one of the key factors here as well is the fact that the searches were a lot more granular as well. We were seeing much longer search queries in this time. And for a lot of our clients that aren't on search at the minute, that sort of goes unnoticed and it's sort of not being utilised in the best way it can. Those clients we have that have got search, we're able to sort of turn that around and turn that into some insight for them and be able to sort of bring together a wider swathe of products. But I think right now there's no real excuse for buying a bad gift when you've got all this time on your hands as well.
Yeah, very
I
true.
think inspiration is sort of been key to a lot of people as they've been going through it. And again, it's just being granular with it, and it's up in those average order values too. I think we've seen some massive average order values going through search in particular. And I think there's no excuse to not have a personalized approach to it across the board at this point. I think it's something people expect. It's something people aren't going to hang around for long for if you don't have as well. So I think that's exactly why people have started using search a lot more and why it's driving a lot more revenue across bottom line.
Well, you mentioned there, Josh, the stats, so we'll move on to the next slide here in regards to some key stats for site search as well. So the main site we've got here, 73% of sites fail e-commerce site search expectations. Now, that's scary.
It's crazy. It
is scary, but I'm going to go through some other stats here, and this kind of goes on the whole conversion rate thing that you all mentioned there. So on e-commerce site, up to 30% of visitors will use a site search bar to navigate. Customers engaging with search spend 3 to 4 times more with a given brand. Like, these are massive. 34% don't return useful results when users search a model number or misspell a word with just a single character or product title. 29% of site transactions came from users utilizing site search, and visitors who buy are 91% more likely to use site search than those merely browsing. So with these key stats in mind, Josh, do you feel the importance of a fully functioning site search is growing in importance day to day?
Day to day, I mean, it's something we just briefly touched on in sort of that last slide, but today a consumer wants to find everything they want or need within seconds of landing on your site. Not only that, when they land on your site, they want to know that they're going to be able to find it as well when they get there. It's not even that necessarily an issue that they're not going to be able to find it. It's just knowing that they're comfortable with the tools that you've put in place for them to go through and get it. And again, one of the quickest and most intuitive ways to do it is through your search bar as well. Again, we're all conditioned to expect a certain level of service. Again, search, a huge part of everyone's online lives, and it's completely underutilized on retail sites. It's one of the biggest blind spots we see, I think, when we're going through. I think it's fair to say, from a client and services perspective, you probably see that as well.
Massively, yeah. It affects our overall client campaigns as well. If they don't have a good site search functionality on there, and it's always something we can discuss them on that one. And I think my next question on this one, Josh, and I think you pretty much answered it, but it was in regard to think like we are, and it's been said a lot of time from people in e-commerce and digital in whole, like we're in the age of convenience.
Completely.
And do you feel like that's a contributing factor as to why site search is something people kind of are expecting now rather than like it being a bonus on a website?
Definitely, it's something that people expect. And I think what people sort of forget sometimes is just because someone comes on and purchases once, it doesn't mean that they're going to come and repeat purchase and be a repeat customer. If someone is forced to sort of endure a process and a bit of a clunky process, they're going to remember that. And if they might get so far through and they might end up purchasing and going through with it, but it doesn't mean that they're going to come back. And we're seeing those the biggest retailers that are out there now, they're competing and taking that market share, are those that have a real strong relationship with the clients, the customers, and the ones that are getting them coming back time and time again. So it's convenience, but what else is that? It's speed, it's flexibility, finding similar products to something that they're looking at and having relevant recommendations. It all works into one facet when you looking to sort of get people involved with your search.
Okay, so these, as I say, these stats are massive, and it's something that any e-commerce retailer really needs to take on board when thinking about site search. Now, with that in mind, are a lot of online retailers overlooking the best conversion tool?
They are, and I think that brings us on to the next slide as well.
Yeah.
So as a conversion tool, it's something that people take for granted. It's not something that you're discussing when you're talking to your platform provider about what features you're going to be included on your site. It's something that people tend to believe is going to be there and not going to change much. So just going to the next slide here. So there's a number of things that you can really start targeting and start improving on your site with search. It's not just getting somebody a list of products in front of them. So for instance, the biggest one and the one we're probably all here for is conversion rates. This is really one of the most simple and potentially significant changes you can make to your site when you start optimizing your search capabilities. We need to start looking at site navigation more as a weapon in your arsenal, something that can work for you rather than a barrier to entry or an obstacle that you see so much with people where they're fighting against their own their own tech and their own stack like that. So we need to start seeing this more of a positive again when it comes to conversion rates, something that is going to start benefiting you rather than something you have to address constantly. Another big one is quality of customer engagement. You want people to want to spend more time on your site. Again, going back to those repeat customers, we've seen some clients with huge successes by increasing the lifetime value of a customer and just making them feel more seen and more at home amongst your product.
Well, that's it. There's some huge stats, Josh, in regard when we notice working in e-commerce as long as we have. If a user spends more time on your site, they are more likely to buy.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rarely not a flying visit unless they go for some kind of convenience product that they know they can get somewhere, which in that instance, you've already done your job in regards to the engagement level thing, haven't you?
They're more likely to buy, they're more likely to open an email, they're more likely to react to retargeting advertising. Again, it's that feeling home amongst your service and amongst your product and feeling like they know they can go there and they know they're going to receive the sort of the care and attention that they're going to receive from somewhere else.
Sounds good.
Another one there, lowering bounce rates. Again, super obvious. It does what it says on the tin here. Helping a customer find what they're looking for in a really unfussy and direct way is going to achieve one thing, and that's driving your bounce rates down and propelling someone towards a conversion. And again, it's as simple as that, really. You want to retain people on site to get them through to the end goal, which is that conversion. So
yeah,
there's nothing more to say on that one. But another one as well is upselling and cross-selling opportunities. They're absolutely huge when you start to fine-tune your search. That's from the discovery stage all the way through to results. I mean, utilizing an image search tool and allowing someone to upload their own imagery. What are you doing there? You're providing like an inspiration that's sort of unparalleled anywhere else.
It's that personal shopping experience, isn't it? It's a high level of personalization.
That's a perfect way of putting it. Yeah. You're selling more than the product at that point. What you're doing, you're selling experience. You're selling a lifestyle to someone. And what's that in sort of base terms for like cold people looking at numbers like us? When you're selling a lifestyle, you're selling complementary products. You're selling accessories. You're selling outfits rather than an item of clothing. And it's a natural way of doing it. It's a really natural and helpful way of upping your average order value across the board as well. Last one. Customer insight. You're literally having people asking you queries at this point. They're telling you what they want from you and your site. So search reports based on misspelling, specific queries, brand SKUs. There's gold in each and every one of these reports.
Yeah.
And people need to start pulling this from the process and pulling it from... Because out of the box solutions for search, we'll give you a search report.
Yeah.
You don't need anything super specific for that. And there's going to be gold in there as well, so... It's something we really stress to people to get into and start looking through, but we'll come on to that a bit more when we start looking at quick fixes and things like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can just say from a marketing perspective, as a digital marketer, like search reports give you some absolute nuggets in regards to how we can help merchandise your site, but also campaigns around that. And the same here,
That's
if you can improve your on-site experience around that, it's a no-brainer to look at these reports. It's like you say, if you are getting all this data and you do nothing with it, you're missing out.
Oh, completely.
You're missing out. So we'll move on to the next slide here, Josh. So we're going to go through how retailers are optimizing their search. So Josh, again, I feel like I'm getting you all the talking here, mate, but I'm happy with that. Josh, can you give us some good examples of how people are making the best use of their on-site search?
Biggest one is clean, practical, and obvious. We've wrote on this next slide.
Yeah.
It's one of the cornerstones of CRO, though, isn't it? It's keeping everything clean, keeping it practical, and I think above all, I know it's some of the CRO heads out there are going to be up in arms about this, but just keeping it obvious.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no real wrong answer to it, as many CRO people will tell you as you're spending a lot of contracts with them. But every website's built completely differently. It's about taking a step back and removing as many of those visual complexities you can and just decluttering your entire process. And giving it a bit of breathing room, I suppose.
Well, that takes us back to the age of convenience thing. People are going online for convenience, and you make it simple for the user as possible. Completely.
I think we're coming full circle with that stuff. I think people have realised you can add features and features and features, but you start affecting your speed, you start affecting everything else. So clean, practical, and obvious. It's one of the biggest tips we can give, really. Again, categorization, making it genuinely helpful. So we sort of move past the only categories on site being colorways, sizes, and that type of thing.
Yeah.
we need to start thinking about inspiring people and inspiration and moving towards more a fluid approach towards that, which we are seeing with some of these search products as well. This is a good one. I don't know if you got any insight to this, but differentiating between browsers and searches. So looking at sort of UX, we need to be able to differentiate between two types of shoppers, like the browsers and the searches. So we need to remain like engaging, relevant, and inspiring to a browser, but to a searcher, for instance, that's like clarity. That's being surgical in what they're looking for. They've got a list of things they need. They've got a list of things they need checking off before they're going to go forward and make a conversion.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that they are both on different journeys as well, but it's how do you actually define them as soon as possible, give them the best experience for that. It's how do you merchandise your search for these people based on these kinds of search terms. It's an interesting point. It'd be good to dive into that a little bit further, I guess, at maybe another occasion.
Yeah, and I think there's a few things in the quick fixes we've got to the end, but yeah, again, this harks back to the practicality and the obviousness of your offering as well. This is quite an interesting one because this is one we are sort of dabbling our toes in at the minute with some of our new products, but sort of image search, visually similar search, and voice search, like your more standard ways of going about it than, more than your standard ways of going about it, sorry. So apart from the obvious inspiration and apart from the utilization of something which is helping people search in a much clearer way, there's also the accessibility side of things as well. It's been a focus for some big brands over the last couple of years, and rightly so, to be honest. Obviously, some of the clients who aren't Nike, who aren't Adidas, they haven't got the resources to sort of dedicate to this, and that's totally understandable, but it's definitely something that people need to start thinking about. Some of these features are often seen as sort of gimmicky or trendy, but there was a recent report by Microsoft, I'll put the link in the slides actually, but outlining best practices, and sort of it galvanized the need for us to start looking at accessibility and providing spaces for the less able to really be a part of your buying funnel as well. I mean, ethically and practically in more of a business sense.
Okay.
I mean, those people are shopping as well.
Yeah, they are.
And obviously voice search and the other things have their own obvious benefits, but accessibility is a huge one. I think it's something that we're going to start seeing a lot more of people focusing on in the next couple of years.
Okay, brilliant. So there's one point I want to go a little bit further in regards to these hints and things here, Josh. It's visual. So making things visual in regards to the importance of image search.
Yes, definitely.
It's something we've really kind of it's basically image search and visually similar search is the tool we've launched this year for our clients, and we're getting some brilliant feedback from it. But there's also some kind of encouraging stats for this as well, Josh. So I've got here in regards to visual search. So on average, again, these are all taken from Trend Desk as well. On average, in home and living, saw a 1,006% increase in revenue than the average typed search introducing it in the 1st of Jan.
That's crazy.
That's stupidly good numbers. In footwear and fashion, since the 1st of Jan, image searches have topped any other type search term by 2,056 clicks and a 1,353% increase in revenue. And accessories, 410% increase in click-through rate after utilising visually similar search. I mean, if you put these stats again as a digital marketer and like you look at that and think, wow.
Specifically through your search is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's insane. I guess the main stumbling block people have with this one, it's like the tools there, when people use it, it's wow. How would you get more people using it, and why do you need to get more retailers engaging with it as well?
That's key, I suppose. When it gets to that sort of saturation point, education is going to be less of a concern for people. But I think if what you were trying at there was saying you need to start educating your own customers on what it is and how it works, then I think you're right, because I think that's going to be the biggest obstacle that people are going to face with this type of thing.
I think so. Like you say, on a Salesfire point of view in regards to the tools we created, like this one is one that really excites me. You'll see some huge retailers like your Boohoo's and the ASOS of the world using this kind of technology. What we've done, we've developed it and rolled it out to the SME.
Yeah, that's true.
So they can give their users that kind of like user experience, that personalization we mentioned earlier, and making that shopping experience easier. If you've got a particular leather bag as shown in the slide here, and I like that leather bag, I like the look of it. What else have they got? Bang, let's analyze that image and show you everything else that's like it. everyone's a winner there.
The results speak for themselves as well.
Exactly. And you look at the conversion rates that are coming through. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculously high, and it's great to see. And hopefully, we start seeing extra growth in that one.
I think one of the interesting things to point out as well with so you mentioned fashion and footwear there. That's obviously more of a, you're looking at colorways, you're looking at feet, you're looking at sort of accessories and that type of thing on it. But with home and living, what we saw is people were actually looking for connectors and different types of like door handles and that type of thing.
It's an on-site kind of interior designer kind of attitude thing, isn't it?
When you look at what it's got, when you look at the capability of it in the future as well, you can actually go in with a nut or a bolt you're not sure of, and it's a different type of connector, and you can use it for that. It's so
rather than the
versatile.
aesthetics, the actual functionality you can use it for as well.
It's crazy when you start thinking of it.
Never even thought of that. Never thought that's mint. Right, let's have we'll probably close this part off now, Josh, and we'll have a look at quick wins and fixes.
Yes, right. So I think this is probably the most actionable bit. This is probably the bit people have tuned in for anyway. So we put a few things together here that we're seeing big results in for our clients when we're sort of making those assessments and running them through it. So the first one, treat every one of your every set of results as a landing page, and by this I mean consider the merchandising of it and how you're delivering your results. What are your bounce rates like on your search results pages? If you start looking at how your URLs are built, you'll be able to see these easily in analytics of your platform, or even looking at Google Analytics. I know we mentioned it earlier, but the gold in there is that every query is like a high intent action.
Yeah.
Somebody's there to find something specific. They want to buy that. That's what they're after. So that's absolutely crazy. So you need to treat it as the high intent action that it is. Make sure that your accuracy and the relevancy of what you're serving up is there. I know it's a nightmare to go through product descriptions. They're an absolute chore. It's one of the biggest necessary evils of sort of retail, and e-commerce managers struggle with it all the time. I know it's a nightmare being there myself. But making sure everything's tagged up accurately is completely key to improving that conversion rate. As I said earlier, hundreds of new SKUs coming on a day. Something's going to slip through the net.
Of course it is. It's not an easy thing to do.
It's not easy, and hats off to anyone who has to deal with it. But if you have that slick process in place to make sure you're catching them, or at least addressing that regularly, or even a well-maintained solution for it, where it's AI-based. I mean, shameless plug for us, but that's something that our platform does as well. Takes that out of it for you. You're just taking this thing out of the tail, and even if you're seeing like a 0.5% increase there, it's something you can go out and action straight away.
Yeah.
Again, dedicating time to analysing your search reports, but I know we mentioned this stat earlier, 34% of searches don't return useful results when a model number or a misspelled word is there. And that can be within the threshold of just one character when it comes to a product title. Someone spelling hoodie, for instance, with IES instead of YS, or however you've got it set up.
Yeah.
You've got to look for the colloquialisms and the misspellings and sort of the nicknames, because that can be the difference in making a sales because of how someone approached it and how they've been spelling it all their life. So you've got to look at those search reports and really dig into those. Again, most out-of-the-box search solutions are going to give you that, whether it's built into your platform or something you've added on top. So again, it's just making sure you've got that as part of your process as well. It's easy to not see the wood for the trees here, I think. That's the biggest one for us. And then the last one I'd say is consistency of messaging across the board, like no exceptions to it. You need to stop treating your results pages as sort of part of a different ecosystem to the rest of your site. Your messaging needs to go all the way across your results. If you're talking about a sale or promotion on your social channels and on your homepage banners and that type of thing, there should be no reason that's not reflected in promotions across your search, because someone could land on your site from a PPC ad or something like that. They're not seeing your homepage. They might never know you've got that sale. You're not running it, and there's no reason for it to be like that. You can put that into your product pages and into your search results as well. That's not always one that you can do without out of the box search product, but again, there are plenty of specialist services out there that can do that as well, us included. But that's probably the last one on that one, I'd say. Speaking
of us included then, Josh, we do have our own search solution.
Yes, we do.
And it's a brilliant tool. We are looking to push this massively in 2021. We launched it in 2020. Feedback we got was superb. I mean, some of the results we're getting here, like in speed, we found results in 0.001 seconds. So again, look at the age of convenience. Someone types something to that website search bar, bang, they've got it.
Straight away.
You've got that design element of things. You can know when people are searching for something, we're not just giving a list of products. You've got promo units and things like that you can put in place. If you've got, for example, Klarna If you can offer paint by clients a reason people will buy and give more reasons to purchase within the search results, you got that element of it. And it's worries free as well. You don't have to be a developer to work this.
Completely. It's one line of code to get going.
It's a piece of code in your website. Bang, done. It's working. Don't get me wrong. There may be things that we need to have a look at in regards to how it integrates and stuff, but we do have free support for people. You can trial the product here for free.
I think the other key thing as well is all these insights we've got from looking into how we were developing this search as well. So basically everything that we've got here, that our system will handle it for you. But hopefully there's enough in here in regards to quick wins and things you can go away and do yourself for you.
Yeah.
So you not have to do that. But yeah.
Brilliant. Well, let's get cracking with the questions then, eh?
Yeah, I think Gabby's in the chat. So should we take any questions and we'll go through them now?
I've got a few questions that were emailed in from people already, some eager beavers, so thank you very much for that. You shall remain nameless, just in case you were embarrassed about putting them in the chat and you thought you'd email them, so fair do. So Josh, I'm going to ask you the first one here. Do you have any tips for drawing people into the search bar, particularly because we discussed in regards to how the conversion rate's really high? What tips would you get people in regards to how to use this search bar?
I think a big one is there's a number of solutions which actually provide an animated text element to it. So you can actually prompt a question in there. You can prompt a number of questions, and that will literally key across and start sort of drawing the eye up towards the search bar. Again, we touched on it within the slides earlier, but keeping it clutter-free and making sure your headers are tidy below it and making sure your nav is tidy above it. And just simple things like making sure your nav isn't going over it when it's highlighted and you're keeping it front and center at all times. Obviously, the nav is really important as well, but people aren't necessarily entering your website through the homepage at all times. So it's just making sure there's enough space around it, it's clean, you've got your call to actions in place, and you're keeping it as clutter-free as possible. But again, there are sort of more advanced solutions which will provide things like animated text and search prompts and that type of thing. So that's what I'd probably say as well. Just keep it as clutter-free as possible.
Okay, cool. I've got a great question here, this one as well. How do you compare to other site searches? I mean, I'll answer that one, Josh.
Go on. Yeah,
there is no comparison at all. None. But do you want to give more of a serious answer than that?
Well, of course, that is a serious answer.
Of course it is.
So, for instance, our visually similar search, that's probably the one that we're further ahead with in regards to sort of market saturation there. Being able to take an image and identify an element of that image, whether it's a feature of a piece of clothing, whether again it's a connector for a tap or something like that. It's so versatile in the way it can work. Finding patterns, finding features. I'd say that's our biggest differentiator at the minute. The strength of that.
Yeah.
Again, we have the animated text prompts, and speed as well is a huge one for us. We worked so hard on getting the search return results is really, really fast. I think it's like less than the 60th of a second. Yeah,
0.001 in it.
Crazy how fast we're getting some results through. So yeah, I'd probably say that visual search and the speed overall. And
I'd say hugely inexpensive in comparison to our competitors as well.
Of course, there's a price point as well.
I think that's a biggie. Like, for any SME e-commerce retailer, I think that's a big thing. I've got a question here from Brad. Brad's asked, how does your site search solution actually work? Do you want to go through the technicalities, Josh?
I can speak to a certain degree on technicalities. Yeah, I'm not in dev, but I'll give you a rundown, Brad. And if you do have any more questions, we'll get Gabby to get you in touch with someone a bit more technically minded. She'll be able to run you through it properly. But in regards to integration, for our visual search, for instance, we only need to put one line of code on your site, and then we need a product feed, whether it's a Google product feed or an XML of whatever you're using for product feeds. The visual search, it doesn't even necessarily have to be that in-depth a product feed. All we need are the images, because our system will then run your images and it will take it from there and start pulling details from it. So all we need is a bit of a basic feed, which includes your product imagery, and our AI system will do all the rest of it when it comes to how it's going through that. Our overall site search, which is including, which is the fast, fully on-site one, that takes a little bit more of a feed, but we have partner companies that are helping us go through and clean those up.
Yeah.
So it's really, really simple, to be honest. The onboarding's a couple of days, I think, if that. But yeah, it's really, really, really sharp when it comes to that.
Well, in answering that as well, Josh, you've answered the next question with regards to what someone emailed in. How do I integrate the site search on the website? And you've answered that, so thanks, mate.
Yeah, thank you. So
Yeah.
it was just a bit of foresight there.
Yeah.
How is it onboarding at the minute? When from a client services perspective? How
Very, very easily, if I'm being honest. Don't get me wrong, there's just some issues in regard to people have like an old feed or something like that. But like you say, we've got partners that will help out with that one. But quality of feed is like a huge factor in this instance. But it's onboarding quite easily. We're getting people through relative decent pace. To be honest, it's since you've made change into client service as well, we've got our support team on hand, which are absolute legends of the game, and they will do whatever they can to make sure your ticket and request flies through the system. It's that they judge themselves on that. So we're looking at instance, and clients are starting to see the benefit of that recent change to client service.
We have had some great feedback.
Yeah, I think he's even listening. Also, big shout out with Davey Webb.
Oh yeah,
what a legend! What a legend of a man.
Absolute legend.
Absolute legend. You know what? Actually, speaking of which, I met the man who invented the windowsill last week.
Really?
Yeah. What a ledge. So I've got a question here from Mark.
I don't know why I even bother. Something
I know, yeah. When will you get stats on how many people click on the quick links you create?
So we've got 2 case studies, I believe, we're finished this week, and
yes,
are up and ready to be going out to potential prospects, clients. What I'd say is get in touch with Gabby or give us a shout through one of the call to actions on here, and we'll get some information through to you. We've just started pulling some information from the last couple of months, because it's only been recently that we've actually got out to clients. So
yeah,
we're just getting the analytics together now, and the first assets are starting to go out, and they've actually been they've excelled really in what we hope to do. So I'm over the moon with that, to be honest. But yeah, get in touch with Gabby and we'll get you some assets through. No problem.
Yeah, brilliant. Any other questions, guys? Some people are joined us today. We'll give people 30 seconds to kind of get these in. And I do apologise for my, I'd say a terrible joke, to be honest, but I'm of the great belief, Josh, if the opportunity is there, you have to grasp it.
I know, and I saw your eyes light up when you saw the opportunity. So
absolute light bulb moment, mate. Yeah, I thought, like, do you know what? I'm doing it. It's happening. You might not like it, but do you know what? I'm going to enjoy it. And hopefully the 29 people on here have enjoyed it as well. I think it speaks volumes about the joke as well, because I did see there was 32 on this earlier. So well done me for kind of diminishing the audience. So yeah, good go. Well, it looks like there may not be any more questions coming through here, Josh. So shall we close things up?
Yeah, let's close it up. Thanks everyone for joining us. Gabby's put the details there in the chat if you'd like to speak further about anything. Or you can get on our site and leave us an inquiry. We'll get something to get back to you. We are going to be sending these slides out with a bit of a PDF on quick fixes and things you can go away and implement yourself in your site, and what to look out for, a bit of a checklist. So we'll be sending that out with the slides as well afterwards. So yeah, thanks for joining us.
Brilliant.
Thanks, James, for hosting.
Yeah, no worries. Like any other content as well you guys want to see us produce webinar wise as well, something you think would be insightful, get in touch. We're happy to produce content. We need to know what you guys want. So thanks very much, guys. Take care.